Hi, and welcome to the Reiki from the Farm podcast, brought to you by me, Pam Allen-LeBlanc from Hidden Brook Farm. I am a scientist, a businesswoman, and a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training. Each week in this podcast, you'll be entertained as you learn about a wide variety of relevant Reiki topics, helping you become a more knowledgeable and effective Reiki practitioner. We caution you, though, this podcast may also dramatically improve your life, and we are so happy that you're here. So, welcome everybody to this month's Reiki share and this week's podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I am here in beautiful Campobello Island, where I'll be teaching this August. And I just wanted to show you, it just so happens that we are at sunset time, which is a really beautiful time here. And I'd just like to take you over and show you for a minute some of the whales that we'll be seeing if you are able to attend in person. We actually sometimes see the finback whale, which is the second largest mammal or animal on the planet. And we will see dolphins and harbor porpoises. We also occasionally see right whales, but they're very rare, so not as often. But we do see quite a lot of minkies. I had a minkie just outside the house today, and I just wanted to bring you over and see if you can see the beautiful water. Campobello is such a magical place that I was just mentioning that it just seems to be that all of our stress goes away when we're here. It feels like you've gone back a few decades. It's the summer home of Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt. They used to call it their beloved island, and I definitely see why. Just wanted to welcome you. Originally, we were going to talk about Reiki, animal communication, and nature spirits, but we are also going to bring in some healthcare Reiki and some things that I learned recently in skeletal alignment. And in fact, our meditation at the end of our time together today will be including a session in skeletal alignment to align your skeletons, and I hopefully that will be something that you really enjoy. Before we go too far, I'd just like to let you know about the classes that we have coming up. August 9th and 10th, I have a Reiki level 1 and 2 class here at the Bay in Campobello. And that evening, the Sunday evening, we will be going whale watching for the people who attend in person, but you're also able to attend online. And the class is every bit as effective online, and so you're welcome to attend that way. And that's a weekend class, a Saturday and Sunday. Then August 11th to the 13th, we have the Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki Master Class. And that's the World Peace Reiki, and that's also online and in person here in Campobello. If you're coming for that class, I'd encourage you to come a little bit early, and you can join the whale watching this Sunday evening that way. And we also, the following weekend, August 16th and 17th, have Animal Reiki Level 1 and 2, followed by whale watching. And then that is followed by the ICRT Animal Reiki Master Teacher class. In October, I have all of those classes. I have Level 1 and 2 class on a weekend, as well as an Animal 1 and 2 class on a weekend. And in October, and those are both online in person, and in October, the master classes are given over 4 evenings online only for both of those. And September 15th to 16th, and then 22nd to 23rd, online over 4 evenings, a Monday, Tuesday, and a Monday, Tuesday, from 5:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we are teaching our next healthcare Reiki class. And we were just enjoying a conversation with some of the folks who are here with me in real time for the Reiki share. And they were just talking about the balance that healthcare Reiki has brought into our lives and the fact that we're all exercising and we're just the healthy habits that you always wanted to, you always intend or you want to bring in, they start to come in and in a very pronounced way. And Michelle just said it's on her birthday, but I think you signed up for it, Michelle. So that's fantastic. And even a couple of folks said, wow, from the time that they signed up, they noticed that they had been exercising. And one of the really neat things about that is that Healthcare Reiki showed us is very much around the physical. And so with Reiki, we all know that mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, we can have such large shifts so quickly. And quite often, it's almost like the physical body is trying to catch up. And I'm sorry, but I'm looking outside and a dolphin just popped up out there. So definitely, you might feel some dolphin energy in this Reiki share tonight and in this podcast. So I do get distracted by the dolphins. So healthcare Reiki really does seem to be a little bit more around the physical. And one of the things that I noticed as healthcare Reiki, this is something that Tracy Sullivan and I have been working with for the last almost 2 years now to bring in, and we've just been listening in the energy, and it's been a really wonderful experience and rather profound. And we've really enjoyed bringing it in. We've enjoyed starting to teach it. But one of the things we've noticed with this really physical element is that as I was doing a session one day and Healthcare Reiki came in, and of course, we're still listening, we're still learning about it. One of the things that one of the symbols started to do was it's wrapped itself around my client and it started making chiropractic adjustments. And at first, it lined up the skeleton of the person, which was just slightly out of alignment in some places. Then it went in and lined up the chakras. Then it went in and it lined up each system to itself. So it lined up the digestive system within itself. It lined up the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the renal system, and the central nervous system. It lined every system up into themselves. And then it went in and lined them up with each other. And I almost forgot actually, before it lined up the systems, it lined up the soft tissue. So once it lined up the skeleton, it went in and made slight adjustments to the ligaments and tendons, and then to the muscles, and then to the fascia. So it was just fascinating to watch. And it happened with 2 or 3 clients. And I decided, you know what, I want to learn more because even though I've studied science, I studied science in agriculture, so I never studied human anatomy. I can tell you all about the 4 stomachs of a cow or any ruminant, and I know those anatomies quite well, but I never really had studied human anatomy. So I learned about a course on skeletal alignment from Mike Borg in Sussex, and it was a fascinating course. It really highlighted, I just wanted to understand a little bit better what that symbol was doing in healthcare Reiki. And so I learned the anatomy a little bit better in the class. And I learned that our anatomy can be impacted energetically by simply utilizing Reiki energy or whatever high frequency energy that you tap into and simply asking like the bones, what do you need and where do you want to align? And just allowing them to align. And I knew this could happen anyway, because with centered riding, one of the most Probably the tool that I used the most to help horseback riders ride with a comfortable and yet correct posture. So a relaxed but correct posture is that we put somebody in front of a mirror with a piece of tape down it, and you look at both sides of your body. And I would encourage you to go ahead and try this exercise. It's fascinating. It's something that I learned from an Alexander technique teacher. And you can usually see, oh, my right shoulder is a little below my left. And you can see that you're not perfectly lined up if you look at yourself in a mirror with this strip of just painter's tape down the middle. And as you do that, if you actually take the heel of your hand, and for those of you watching on YouTube, I'll point out, but if you take the heel of your hand, where your wrist ends and your hand begins, and if you place it just at the top of your nose and then reach with your middle finger and touch the top of your head with that middle finger. So you put your hand, your palm into this part. And I'm going to encourage all of you who are with me, go ahead and try this, to just put your palm here and then reach as far as you can with your middle finger. That is the top of your head. Now, most of us in North America have been shown that we give ourselves a posture of hollowing out our back and bringing our chin forward. And so we feel that the top of our head is further forward. But if you notice that this should be the highest point of your body, one of the things that you can do is you can simply, as you're looking in the mirror, you ask your body, please make that the highest point of my body. And you'll notice that your entire posture adjusts. You'll lean back differently. It's really fascinating. And so when I can teach somebody, it became a really a really neat trick because when I can teach somebody that to just ask their body to make that adjustment, then I was usually very quickly, almost immediately, able to have them using the correct posture on a horse without the rigidity when you're trying to force it, trying to make your body do it. So I already knew that the body would react to being asked something rather than demanding something being demanded. And it was really fascinating to me to learn that the skeleton, you can just ask it, please align yourself. Where do you need to be aligned? And you can ask the synovial fluid to move into all of your joints and just lubricate everything so that everything feels great. You can ask the spine to align with just a little more space between it to give your discs space and to assist with gravity. You can, and one of the most important bones to align is the sphenoid bone, which is inside the head. And so I've been really fascinated with using the skeletal alignment. And of course, it's already adjusted itself to be used with Reiki. And so that's something that I am looking forward to bringing in for everybody today, because once our skeleton is aligned, then it is easier for the digestion and all the other body parts to align. But we will use healthcare Reiki and we will bring in all of that alignment for ourselves. And alignment seems to be a very big part of healthcare Reiki, just moving everything into alignment. And if you think about it, once we are aligned, then the energy can flow. So that's one place that we're going to go today. And another place that I would like to go today is just talking about how Reiki and animal communication and nature, the spirit of the earth, come together. So basically, early on in Reiki, maybe I think I was a level 1 and 2 in Reiki when I learned animal communication. And I actually began teaching animal communication before I began teaching Reiki, as a matter of fact, simply because people asked and they wanted me to. And when animal communication opened up, it really opened up whole new perspectives and whole new understandings and whole new ways of looking at things. And in fact, when you learn to look at something through the viewpoint of, and for me, a lot of it was horses. I was working with a lot of horses and I was working with them professionally. So there were quite a few coming to the farm, some that I would go and work with at their location. And it can be absolutely fascinating just to get that other viewpoint. And with animal communication, and a lot of you know that I am working on my book, Animal Communication for Reiki Practitioners. I am hoping to get a lot of it in place this summer. And, but I will let you know how that's going. It really does feel like it's coming together. And I do just want to say thank you to people for being patient with me after losing the horses. I've got really behind on my emails and I have struggled quite a bit to catch up, but this week I'm starting to feel a little bit more myself, and it seems like I would get through 80 emails in a day and the next day there would be 75 more. So I just never seemed to get in front of it. But I am finally starting to feel a little bit normal and we'll move forward. And in fact, I mentioned in our last Reiki share that a children's book with my beloved horses, Buddy and Star, they were with me almost 19 years and every day, and they helped start my business. They were really important to me. And but those two more than any other horse, they taught me so much. All horses taught me, but they taught me so much. And Reiki and animal communication, in my mind, go together so well simply because as you understand how energy works and as you begin channeling and working with energy yourself, it changes something in you. And I keep thinking of Roy the cat, that I had a cat named Roy, a rescue, and he was so shy. He hid in our basement for 2 years, the first 2 years that we had him. And we didn't think he was going to be shy. He wasn't shy at the shelter where he was, but once he got to our home, he was, I think they called him a Russian blue, and he was just so scared and that he hid downstairs. And then I learned Reiki. And as I started doing Reiki on myself, Roy came out of the basement. And what I noticed was each time I would be sitting on the couch doing Reiki, Roy would perch somewhere not too close that I could touch him, but somewhere nearby. And as I continued to do Reiki, Roy would come closer and closer. And eventually he was on my lap. And the next thing you know, Roy eventually became a Reiki cat. He, not every session, but many sessions, he would insist on coming in and helping people with their Reiki. And so animals and Reiki really, they do go well together. But I do think that it was the years of being an animal communicator, and Reiki opened the intuition to allow the animal communication. And I think it was years of being an animal communicator that really helped form the animal Reiki class. It really helped us just with a lot of the information. And some of the information is that around this energy called the spirit of the earth. And I'm taking a long way around here, but we are going to come back to it. It is gonna connect eventually. It's so funny. As we were working on the animal Reiki course, and a lot of you know that it took us a few years of just 2.5 years of just listening to the energy and to create the course. And as we were working on the animal Reiki course, the energy of the earth kept coming in a very almost physical way. And we were a little bit confused at first. And it was embarrassing to admit, but as many times as both Colleen and I had taught the Reiki Masterclass and the Usui Holy Fire 3 Reiki Masterclass, when the energy upgraded to Holy Fire 3, William had written a section of the manual about an energy called the Spirit of the Earth. And somehow we taught the course and everything, but it never really registered to us what William was writing about or what he meant about the spirit of the earth. And in that, and then we discovered it and we went, oh my goodness, okay, we're all talking about the same thing. And I think this is just part of that evolution of Reiki, is what I'm trying to say. For me, because I'm an animal scientist and such an animal person, and I was working with animals professionally, there was an evolution into animal communication from Reiki. And then that evolution led into animal Reiki, being able to be one of the authors of the ICRT Animal Reiki course. And in fact, having communicated with animals for so long, because of that opening that Reiki created, it gave us a lot of information to draw from. And of course, Colleen and Robin and Sue were all communicating with animals in their own way. Sue was working with exotic animals, actually, and professionally as well. And so we all had all of those experiences to draw from for the Animal Reiki course. And it gave us the context to understand and to be able to listen and perceive what the animals and what the spirit of the earth were trying to tell us. So William wrote that the spirit of the earth is it's a real thing, and we've heard it called Mother Nature. It has many names, and yet anytime we enjoy the beauty of a mountain or look at an ocean or a sunset, we are enjoying or experiencing the spirit of the earth. And so there's this beautiful synergy between Reiki, animal communication, and the spirit of the earth. And some would even call them nature's spirits. And I thought that it might be really fun to bring this synergy together during this season of summer. And if you look at the medicine wheel, the summer season is when everything is open and on. And I know, Marissa, you're in the southern hemisphere, so you're in the winter season. But here we are in the summer season, and everything is happening. Everything is on. Everything is in full bloom. One of the things that some of you have probably heard me talk about with regard to this Campobello house is I really believe that animal Reiki brought this Campobello house to us because the oceans were asking for Reiki. And I came down and I thought I was coming here to give the oceans Reiki. I thought it was so that I could do something for the oceans. And so it was a bit of a surprise, and I certainly didn't expect to. It's just a simple, tiny little house, but it's, as you saw, it has any of you that are on YouTube, it has a stunning view. I certainly never expected for whales to come up and have coffee with me in the mornings or anything like that, but they do. And one of the things that I have been hearing is that as we give to nature, it gives back to us. And I also think Animal Reiki had me running for the Green Party, and I will run for the Green Party again, I'm sure, because I really believe that as we give to the earth, to nature, to the spirit of the earth, she gives back. And so I thought I was coming here to give to the oceans, but I think I've received much more than I've given. And One of the things that was really interesting, and some of you will remember this from the animal communication class, is that I don't communicate with animals all the time, like not the way that I communicate with you, because you really just, you tend to have a few important conversations with very few words. That's the communication is a little bit, it's not like talking on the telephone to a human. It's more just feeling in and getting a feeling and or a response back. But it's very honest and pure, but it's often quite brief. But one of the things that the whales told me that I always knew horses and dolphins were able to connect us more deeply with our own nature, with our own human nature. And in fact, I'd heard one animal told me they were the memory keepers. And so they held on to our memories. And when we wanted to have that closer spiritual connection and remember our memories, they had them for us. And we would be in proximity with a dolphin or a horse, and it would give us access to our nature, the human nature, and the memories of the human species. And yet, one thing that the whales told me, and actually, I'm sorry, there's a bald eagle flying across right now. One thing that the whales told me is that they hold the memory for all species. And just being in proximity with them can shift our DNA so that we get access to those memories as well. And I think there's something to that because you do really start to connect with this spirit of the earth. And some people might even call it nature spirits, but or the elemental energy of summer or of winter, where you are, Marissa. But there is this just feeling of oneness. And this is the feeling that we often get with the divine animal kingdom. And then all of this evolution has now come around to this evolution to healthcare Reiki, which does appear to be an even more physical form of Reiki. Animal Reiki really led us to a feeling of a deep sense of belonging here on the earth, a deep sense of unification and of oneness, and a release of that feeling of dominion over. And but healthcare Reiki is taking us into a slightly different direction, and it is more physical. And I go back to there's something I like to talk about with regard to our physical nature. We often say, you've probably heard me say before that our bodies are the vessel for our spirit, or I can't even think now of how I usually say it, but that it gives our spirit life and breath, that the body is the physicalness that allows our spirit to embody, to be embodied here on the planet. But when you think about the physical body, it really is of the earth. Our bodies are made of the earth to give our spirit life and breath. That's what I sometimes find myself saying in sessions and in meditations. And then I got thinking about it with my scientific brain, and I went, that's true, because as soon as the egg and sperm unite for any animal or plant that exists on the earth, after that, all of our nourishment literally comes from the earth. Our mother, each of us had a mother, and our mother ate plants or animals that ate plants. The plants grew from the earth. They were a seed that grew from the earth. And so they are made, everything that makes up a plant is comes from the earth. So our bodies truly, every cell that divided and grew came from nourishment that was created out of the earth. So our bodies truly are, it's not just something that's written in a book somewhere. Our bodies truly are made of the earth to give our spirit life and breath. And so for that reason, what we're going to do today, that was a very long explanation, is we're going to listen to the whispers of the land around you, to the ocean. We're going to listen to summer's vibrancy and the connections to fire, water, air, and the earth. We're going to go into a meditation to the ocean of holy love, surrounded by the divine animal kingdom and the brothers and sisters of the light and the divine healers from healthcare Reiki. And in that meditation, we're going to allow ourselves to connect with the spirit of the earth. And as we connect with the spirit of the earth, we are actually going to ask all of our body systems, beginning with the skeleton and moving through the systems, as I described earlier, we're going to ask all of our body systems to move into alignment. And there's nothing that you have to do in order for this to work. I will be using some symbols and elements of healthcare Reiki. I'll be using a bit of what I learned in the skeletal alignment class. One of the things that was fascinating is that your body is pretty much pairs. So, for instance, if you're having trouble with your head, you're likely going to be having trouble with your hips. If you're having trouble in one part of your spine, there's a corresponding area of your spine that is probably going to give you an issue. And the thing to know is that regardless of what injuries or scar tissue or whatever that you might have, your body still can move into alignment. And so I encourage you to just allow it. It's more to do anything to earn it, to do anything, just allow it to move into alignment. It can take about 3 sessions, fairly closely spaced, in order for the alignment to really hold. But this is going to be a podcast that you can listen to as often as you wish. So if you do feel quite nice after this session, but maybe you feel that your body or some of your systems are fairly out of alignment, go ahead and listen 3 to 4 times a week apart or a couple of weeks apart, and just allow your body for that to become your normal. Because what I have noticed is that in class, everything would line up and it would feel so good. But some of you know that I crashed my fat bike at 30 kilometers an hour, and I really moved one vertebra very much out of alignment. And in fact, it's almost 2 weeks later, and it's still pinching a little bit now. And so I would fix it, but the next day it would move back out of alignment. And so sometimes the muscles and fascia are used to being a certain way, and so it is going to pull it back. So I'm taking more than 3 sessions to get this into alignment, although it hasn't quite been 3 weeks yet. So I'll give it another week, and I think we'll have the spine staying in place after that. I'm just going to touch base and ask if anybody that's here with me live, if any of you had any questions before we begin. And if not, we're going to go ahead and go into our meditation today. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as I have. So go ahead and take a deep breath. I'm just going to bring us over to the ocean today. For those of you watching on YouTube, and you'll be able to see the sunset as well. I'm just going to invite you to activate Reiki. And place your hands comfortably on your body wherever you feel guided. And breathe. Just breathing in the light of Reiki. If you have symbols, you can go ahead and activate those now. And I'm going to bring the healthcare Reiki symbols, the animal Reiki symbols, Karuna Reiki symbols, and the holy fire symbol that started it all. And I invite you to form an intention for our session today. Ask yourself if there's anything you'd like to let go, and if there's anything you'd like to bring in or empower. And I invite you to imagine that it's a beautiful, warm, sunny day and that you're walking through a trail in a beautiful forest. And as you walk along and breathe into yourself, you breathe in the life essence of the forest. As the energy of the earth moves up through the bottoms of your feet, you walk along until you come to the edge of the forest, and in front of you is a beautiful beach. And you notice that the angels and the archangels, the brothers and sisters of the light, the divine healers, and the divine animal kingdom are all standing at the corners of the land and on every side of you. Together you walk over to the ocean. This is the ocean of holy love. And if you work with guides, you may notice that your guides step forward now, or maybe a special animal steps forward. And together you walk into the warm temperatures of the water, this ocean. This ocean contains only the frequencies of love and of peace. The ocean of holy love has the ability to release any energies from you that are not loving or peaceful. Old injuries, mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. Energies you're holding on behalf of others, limiting beliefs. These can all let go today if you choose. And yet this energy will never go against your free will. So think back to your intention for this session as you lie down, gazing at the sky, noticing a beautiful beam of light from the highest heavens as it shines on you and all around you. And just feeling your body become completely relaxed as you're buoyed by the beautiful salt water of the ocean. You feel like you're being held in the arms of the earth. And you think, could this be the spirit of the earth? The spirit that made my body? And you stretch your arms and legs out and you feel just a gentle traction on them as well as on your head as you notice that your limbs and your spine are elongating. And The sphenoid bone within your head is just moving into perfect alignment for you. And then the spine, starting with the top of the spine, the top two vertebrae, the atlas and axis. These are realigned with each other. And it feels like your head is just gently setting on them as though it is on a cloud. As the cerebral spinal fluid moves through your spine. And each vertebra of your spine just gently separates just by a millimeter or so to allow the cerebral spinal fluid through, to lubricate everything. And sometimes there are messages when we are out of alignment. It is often our body trying to communicate with us. So if there's an area that feels out of alignment to you, maybe it's your cervical spine in your neck, maybe it's your thoracic spine, maybe it's your lumbar spine, maybe it's all the way down into your sacrum or your coccyx, your tailbone. Simply ask your body, do you have a message for me? And listen. Once you've heard the message, you may have a decision to make about what to do with it. But you can thank your body for bringing you the message. And then you can let go whatever was pulling your spine or any part of your body out of alignment. I invite you to breathe into each of those spaces between the vertebrae. Just feeling your spine elongate a little bit more as you grow taller and as your posture shifts. And allowing that cerebral spinal fluid to move even more freely. Now each rib begins to expand. It's almost there's a balloon in your rib cage that's just gently expanding, and it's allowing each rib to move into place a little bit better. Now that there's more room in the spine, each rib moves into place, and with that gentle expansion, now your lungs can expand more. Just notice as you take a full deep breath, the breath can go deeper. And then your collarbone and your shoulder blades move into alignment. And you can notice your shoulders drop. They no longer have to be up tight around your ears. They're aligned the way that your soul and your spirit are aligned. And then you feel the ball and joint at your shoulder, the synovial fluid moves in amongst all the joints. Your shoulder down through your elbows, your wrists, your hands, your fingers. It moves to your hip girdle, and your hips move into alignment, making your legs the same length. And once the hips are in alignment, the ball and socket of your hip joint becomes lubricated, and those joints move into alignment. The knees and all the various parts of the knee, the ankles, the arches of the feet, the toes. And then your tendons and ligaments, they shift to accommodate this beautiful body alignment. And that allows the muscles to relax. They too accommodate this alignment. And then just imagine that the fascia is taken off of your body now. And sometimes our fascia gets a bit tangled and knotted. Think about saran wrap when it gets bunched up. And the energy is just gently combing it. Just gently straightening the fascia out so that it too moves into alignment, and then it is returned to your system, no longer bunched up, doubled over itself. And now your chakras move into alignment with themselves and with each other. Your base chakra, actually the chakra below your feet, the Gaia gateway, the chakra that's in the earth, connected with the spirit of the earth. And then the base chakra, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart chakra, the many heart chakras, the 3 heart chakras, the throat chakra, the 3rd eye, the crown chakra, and the stellar gateway above your head. And then each of your body systems move into alignment, first with themselves, and then with each other. And from this place of alignment, you may notice that your instincts and your intuition and your intellect all move into alignment as well. And as they do, you are able to listen with all of the parts of yourself. I invite you to listen now to the spirit of the earth and any messages the spirit of the earth has for you. With all of your senses, all of your chakras, and all of the parts of your body, mind, soul, spirit, and with everything having an equal voice. And we're going to remain here together today for several moments as the ocean of holy love and the spirit of the earth begin to guide you. welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. When you're ready to come back, take a deep breath. Bring your attention to your eyes. Slowly open your eyes and return. I'd like to invite you to take some time writing about your experience today, realizing that part of what makes up each and every one of us is the spirit of the earth itself. Thank you for joining us. I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Namaste.